Hey guys, welcome back to another Awk Reacts. We are going to be reacting to an article that I saw about Japan creating a 96,000 kilometer space elevator project that's going to bring people up to space, and it sounds really interesting. So if you guys are interested, keep on watching. Alright, so I saw this first post on Instagram, but I wasn't sure if it was valid or not, so I did some research online and I found a few different articles talking about it. Very first instance of this article was back in 2014, so clearly it's been a thing that's been in the works for a while. So it's pretty interesting. All right, so here's the first article from Your Story. Japan's 96,000 kilometer space elevator project reached space in just a week. Not that bad. It sounds like being on a cruise ship and getting to a destination, right? So here's a concept image. It looks so cool, right? So apparently, Obayashi Corporation, which I've also done a little bit of research, is actually a company that dates super long back in Japanese history. They were actually the construction company, for example, Osaka Castle, Osaka-jo, which is one of the most famous, popular, most visited castles in Japan. They have a project to connect Earth to space with this 96,000 kilometer long cable made from carbon nanotubes, CNTs, that would allow a climber to carry 30 passengers at speeds of 200 kilometers per hour, delivering them to a space station in about a week. The discovery of CNTs by a Japanese engineer in 1991 has propelled this vision forward. And so this is a tangible goal with potential launches envisioned for 2025, which is insane. That's literally next year, right? That's incredible. The space elevator is designed to be built using a multi-stage process. So materials will be transported via rocket to low Earth orbit, where a spaceship will use electric propulsion to ascend geostationary Earth orbit. I mean, I'm saying this, but I looked a little bit into it. It's a little bit complicated. At this point, the spaceship releases the CNT cable back to Earth, becoming a counterweight once reaching 96,000 kilometers in altitude. And this is the image of how they're going to make this, and I double checked that this was sourced directly from the Obayashi Corporation website. It says in Japanese, and if you guys are interested in actually seeing the science behind it, definitely check out their video. It is in Japanese, but they go through all the different steps and the parts, which I think is so cool. So I can't read all the kanji here, obviously a lot of it, but at the top here it says count the weight though. So this is a counterweight at 96,000, which they said will become, the counterweight at that point. And this is the kind of base on Earth. The solar panels are really cool too. So I did a little bit of reading. It talks about the space solar power system, which is at an altitude of 36,000 kilometers, and it isn't affected by weather, unlike solar power on Earth's surface, right? So according to calculations, 45 minutes of solar radiation is equal to the energy used by humans for 1 year, and 112 hours of radiation is equal to the energy used by all proven reserves of oil, coal, and natural gas on Earth. So it can transmit energy wirelessly over a distance of 36,000 kilometers, which is, very cool. Like I said, the science and the technology behind it, crazy, right? Can you just imagine? Ages ago, probably people are thinking the technology we have now cannot be even comprehended. But now, if this is going to be out by 2050, which I read it's going to be, I can't even imagine that. And the people being born around that time, going to space, ooh, it's just like going to the city over. Easy peasy. Crazy to me, right? That even now, technology still has such a ways to go. There's still so much there that it's still so incredible, despite having already advanced so much. But then when I remember that going to school, I was already almost graduated before the iPhones and the smartphones came out, I do get reminded of how young technology is. And I'm very lucky, and I am very happy that I got to grow up in a time, the majority of my childhood wasn't so, technology focused the way that I think some of this generation now is. Oh, I sound so old. But I think that's really, really cool. This is the image, like I said, that little circle down here, right here. So you take a little boat there and then all the way up, which I think is so cool. So once the spacelift is built, it will be less expensive to go into space and more sustainable, as there's no fuel or toxic chemical waste. And this is obviously such a big project. And I read a different article actually, and I didn't know if it was related or not, but I found out that it is. It says Japan creates multi-billion-dollar space strategic fund to boost space industry. So the Japan's cabinet, they just approved $6.7 billion and to fund the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, which is actually really interesting because I worked with a lot of JAXA staff when I was working with my previous Japanese company. And they're so cool when you hear about the projects that they work on and when they went to Mars. And it's so cool that I got to hear this and things. They're trying to, I guess, encourage more space research and projects without mostly government funding, I believe. I'll put all the links down below. But it says down here, the future of Japan's space industry and domestic economy depends on whether the private sector can utilize this 10-year strategic fund as a means to move away from dependence on government funding. So I think this is one of them. So here, JAXA gets that 10 or 6.7 billion 10-year fund, and JAXA is the group that will be working with Obayashi Corporation, who is responsible for this elevator. Actually, I thought there was only a Japanese version, but it looks like they actually have a video of the original Japanese one that I saw, but translated in English, which is so cool. So this is about 12 minutes, so we won't go through it, but that is so cool. So they talk about the carbon nanotube, the mechanism, the artificial satellite, and the orbit, and then the cable. So if you guys want to look through this, definitely worth checking out if you're interested in this. Yes, they called it the Leo Gate. I couldn't read that. And the Geostation. And then a Mars Gate to Mars. So like transporting different things maybe? I think that's very, very cool. And a little bit about the station on Earth. There's an undersea tunnel. I did see that on their main video. And then this is the platform, the workers' cabin, the lab, the control center visitors' cabin. That's so cool. They've really clearly they've already developed and had a plan for this if they're starting 2025. And I'm surprised that I've only heard about it now. And I think I love the series for this because it makes me more aware of new news and interesting things that I like that I probably just miss if I'm not actively looking out for them to share with you guys. So I do love that. I did want to watch this video with you guys. It's from the original Kobayashi website. So yes, this is the original one in Japanese. I'm glad they had an English version. And this one is the full-on space elevator construction concept that we'll watch together. So there it is. You're kind of like, there's a tunnel, there's the 96,000 kilometer elevator going up. Right, we learned so much in this short time. Very cool. Incredible that this can be a thing. Solar panels that we've already talked about too. Takes 1 week to get there. Just pulling in, how cool is that? The views every night, oof. And look at this. Oh, look at that. Can you imagine staying somewhere, looking out and looking at Earth and seeing this? Oof, that's so cool. And we saw the little compartments, the visitor center, the lab. And of course, there's a whole topic of like, should they be spending this money on space? That's always a topic. But can we just appreciate that aside, how incredible science and just being able to do this is pretty cool. I just have to say, you guys probably didn't know that the very first thing I've ever wanted to be as a kid was an astronaut. I love space, always have. This would make people's dreams come true, just to go into space. And the thing is, like, apparently it costs over like crazy amounts of money originally to take a rocket when they were doing or talking about space tourism to go to the moon and things, and this is supposed to be considerably cheaper. How cheap are we talking? Because if it's in the 100,000s, right, let me just take it out of my non-existent bank account with that money, you know? Which bank am I, Robin? I really would love to go to space, but I think that's really so cool. And maybe one day it'll become cheaper and I'll still be alive. So this project is set to commence construction in 2025 with operational capabilities expected by 2050. Yeah, the space elevator could revolutionize how we access space, right? Comparable to a train ride from Tokyo to Osaka. Nuts. Insane. According to Obayashi Corporation estimates, setting an ascent unit into space could be expensive, only a few $1,000s, making access to space much cheaper. Maybe having a person go in there won't be too expensive. Who knows? No robbing a bank this time, guys. We're good. We're good. I know one of the questions I thought was, I don't know if it was silly, but I was thinking about the forces. So if it's like 1G on Earth, and I don't know how it's supposed to feel, but apparently 10Gs is supposed to feel like you have a house laying on top of you, very uncomfortable. I'm like, how would it feel going up and ascending, right? As you're leaving Earth, as you're leaving Earth and things. So I looked it up on Stack Exchange, and there's a lot of complicated things, and I don't really understand everything, but I tried to understand it as simply to basically explain. But there's a lot of factors that go into it, from gravity, of course, and there's the level that you're at, the stationary level, and the altitude there, the hovering, the how you're going up, the speed steadily increasing. Then there's linear acceleration. There's a lot of different factors, centripetal force outward, that's supposed to determine how it feels. So you could feel like you're going slow or sluggish, or these kind of, but apparently I'm assuming if they're going to bring people up there, they're going to totally take those factors into account, right? But I just thought it was kind of an interesting read, and hopefully you're not vomiting for 1 week while you're getting up to space. But that was what I thought about it. And despite if it becomes successful or not, hopefully, I mean, that's a lot of money invested into it. I think it's kind of cool that it still shows we haven't lost as humans. We haven't lost the ability to have really big dreams. I think one of the classic examples of dreaming big is like going into space, right? Like space exploration. That's really cool. You know, we're dreaming big. It's something that seems so impossible, right? Even now. But to actually have a plan and try for it, there's something beautiful in that, despite what people think about, you know, how money should be spent, if it should be spent on space or things, actually huge amount of problems on Earth. But there's something about space that just like shows like really anything is possible if we can do it. And that's kind of cool. What do you guys think in the comments below? Would you guys go and take a trip if it was reasonable up in space, or nah, you'd not risk it? What do you guys think? Thank you so much for watching another Awk Reacts. I hope you guys have been liking the variety, from the music to the trailers to different topics, science, pretty much a lot of things. And if there's anything else you guys would love me to react to, please put them down in the comments below or in the Discord. And as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, join the best community in my opinion in Discord. And I will see you guys in the live stream if you want to say hello. Don't be shy. And until then, see you guys in the next adventure.